Jennifer from Scrapping Under the Influence. I am here with my first November design team project using the Simple Stories Say Cheese Christmas paper. It's so cute, and what I was trying to do, because it is, you know, primarily a Disney themed paper, what I wanted to do with this project was two things. I wanted to show you a really fun style of card 3 different ways, and I wanted to show you that you can use this, that's upside down, you can use this paper without anybody having any idea that it is actually a Disney themed paper. So I've got 3 different styles of Shadowbox cards here. This style is one I've done, I can't even tell you, 3 or 4 different versions of this. It folds flat like this to go into a normal sized envelope so it can be mailed, and then displayed once the recipient opens it, you know, they can put it out to display it. This style, I don't remember when I learned this one. It's been a while ago. I haven't made too many like this because, I don't know, I just always default to this one. I'm not sure why. Again, folds flat. When you open it up, you get this cute little shadow box in here that, again, you can stand the card up to display it. And then this one was one I actually learned from a Jennifer McGuire tutorial a few months ago. I think I made a birthday card in this style, and I haven't done another one since, so this was kind of fun. This one folds flat, other than I glued something wrong when I was assembling this, and I've got one of my score lines that's off, so it's not folding as flat as it should. This should fold completely flat, and when you pull it out of the envelope, it kind of pops open, and again will stand up so that you can display it. So I'm going to show you how to make all 3 of these cards, and let's get started. Okay, so for our first Shadowbox card, we are going to start with a piece of cardstock that is 4.5 by 11.5, or I'm sorry, 4 1/4 by 11.5. This type, normally I actually have a file set up for my Cricut that I normally cut these with, because I've done these for card swaps a number of times where I've made several, you know, a couple of dozen in one sitting. So it's just a little bit easier if you're not doing that. And of course, if any of your cutting machines, if you've got Cricut, Silhouette, whatever, you can set this up as a template, you know, so that you can just go through and do like a mass amount of the bases for these fairly easily in any one of those softwares without me creating a special file for you. It's just a basic, couple of basic shapes. You would slice, in the case of Cricut, you would slice, you know, whatever your little hole, for lack of a better word, is going to be in over here, and then you have your base. So for this one, as I said, 4 1/4 by 11.5. With the 11.5 inch side on the top, you're going to score it 1/2 inch, 2 inches, 6 inches, and 7.5. So what's going to happen is when we fold this, this little tab is going to attach here in the back. We're going to cut our window. That's the word I'm looking for. Not hole, window. It's late. What can I say? We're going to cut our window into this panel, and when it goes into an envelope, it's going to fold flat like this. Okay? So what we're going to do, I've been doing it that way. Okay. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually cut our window. So our window, have I been doing it from that side? I've been doing it from that side. I think in my Cricut file, normally my window is cut on this end. We can do it either way because this tab on this end is small enough, at least when I have it on my Cricut, that you're not going to see it overlapping here. So I'm actually going to fold that with that on top just to kind of check here, since we are using a die. Okay, in this case, I actually am going to do it out of this panel right here. So what I have is I've got my base, and then I've got a little matte piece that's going to go right about here. Okay, so we're going to cut a hole out of this one. We're going to cut a window. Why do I keep saying hole? Because it's late and I should be going to bed, but I had this whole thought about how I'm going to do this, so here we are. We're going to cut our smaller window is going to be into the card base. Our larger window is going to be into the matting, the mat for the outside. Okay, so I'm going to run these through my Gemini, and I'll be right back, and then we will very quickly assemble the base part of this card, and I'll be right back. One thing before I forget. So one thing that you will need to do. I'm actually going to erase my measurements off of here really quickly first. So on the, because we're matting this, okay, and we want this centered up, what I did is I cut the mat, the window in the mat first, because that's the bigger of the two. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to center this up between my score lines here, where this is actually going to be glued down. And then I'm just going to very lightly, as soon as I figure out where I want it centered, mark where my sides and my top and bottom are, because then I can take this piece, once I turn it over the right direction, that is, and I can center up my smaller window die, or a smaller die that I'm using for my window, that's what I'm trying to say, in here. And then, it'd help if I had my tape ready, wouldn't it? And then I'm going to tape the die down where I need it to go. Go ahead and run this through my machine. I actually may need my bigger plate for this because, dang it. Alright, so let's get that die off of there. I may have to recut my base because I might have just screwed it up going through the machine there because I didn't want to get out the bigger Gemini plates. I have the full-size Gemini. I never use the full-size plates. I always just use the plates for the Gemini Junior because I can turn them sideways and they fit through the full-size Gemini, and then they go through faster, which is nice. Okay, I'm just going to erase that little pencil marks that I made. I think I got a little bit on one of these. I did. Okay, so I'm just going to go through and reinforce those score lines really quickly. And then this is just about ready to go. The only thing we need to do is we do need to miter these corners just a little bit so that they don't stick up when we assemble the base of the card. However, before we do that, we are going to glue down our mat. We are going to decide what we're going to mat the inside back part of this with. However, we're not going to glue that down just yet. This is going to go together like that. Actually, I'm sorry, not like that, like that. when we mat the inside back, that's going to cover up that little tab right there. And we need to make our cross pieces. That's what we didn't do. I knew I was missing something on this. Okay, so for these, I do these a little bit differently. This style has a little bit more dimension to it and some more layers just because of the way it folds. It's much easier to do so. With our card that we're using the snowflake paper on, you probably could do the same type of thing, but you've only got 1/2 inch, so you don't have quite as much space, which does make it a little bit harder. This one we do have 1.5 inches. So because the finished size of this is 4 inches, we need to go, figure out where our paper trimmer is first off. Okay, I'm going to do make these 1.5 inches high. Well, I'm going to do one 1.5 inches, and we're going to do the other one 1 3/4 inches. Okay, and then we're going to make them 5 inches long. Now, because, excuse me, typically I do this card, we're going to score these both at 1/2 inch on each end. Because I typically mass produce this style with the Cricut, I have just a couple of little layer pieces that go inside the card here, set in there, that each kind of have like a little wave to them. You could freehand cut, just, you know, kind of make this little wave, kind of like, depending on what you're putting in here. So I'm going to come in here and kind of go like so. Okay, so got a little wave there. And then the other one, I want to start up a little bit higher, so it's going the opposite direction. Okay. There we go. All right. So what's going to happen is these are going to go in just like this inside here. Okay. Sometimes I have matted these. Like I said, when I do cut these with the Cricut, sometimes I mat these, sometimes I just leave them as is, because all they're there for is somewhere to attach whatever little ephemera pieces you're putting in here. Usually when I do this style with the Cricut, I do print and cut. So I'll have little print and cut pieces that I put on these that go inside the card. But before we do that, and before we get any further on this one, we're going to go ahead and we're going to glue these to this inside piece. So all I do is on my little 1/2 inch tab here, I just lay this flat inside up against the edge where that bends. Okay. Fold it over, press it down, and then in theory, of course mine moved because of course it did. That should be lined up perfectly. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other piece. But you're going to lay that right there at the edge of that line. I'm sorry. And then press it down. Okay, so when we go to actually close this whole thing off, these will come in one on top of the other right to that edge. Okay, but in the meantime, we've got them in here and attach so that we can go ahead and put whatever we're going to put on them, and they're ready to go. So move this out of the way. Flip this back over this way. We're going to go ahead and glue down our mat here, because this is a little bit easier to do when the card is still completely flat like this. You can just lightly tack it down just in the corners in case there was anything that you may want to stick up underneath the edge of this outer matting. So my matting for this is 4 inches by 3 3/4, so that I've got that 1/8 inch border all the way around. You could do that a little bit bigger. You have more than enough space there to do so. I wouldn't go any smaller, because then you're going to have a harder time depending on the shape of the die that you're using to cut your window out. So we have this cute little piece that came out of there. That's actually, I think, what we're going to put on the inside here, like so. Although that's not going to totally cover up that tab, it'll be fine. So we're going to hold that off to the side. That's just our negative space out of there. We don't really need that for anything, so I'm just going to set that off to the side. Now we just need to decide on decorating for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through my ephemera pack and see what I have and what I want to put in here, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have picked out what I'm going to use to decorate. I'm going to start with the back layer. So here's our front. We're just going to lay this flat. We've got our first little, and I'm actually going to set that behind there so you can see where our little layer is. You could leave these doing this where, you know, they've kind of got a little bit of a curve to them. So all I'm going to do is get a little bit of glue, the back corner of this one, put him down. Okay, I'm going to fold this piece over, and I'm going to put down this one over to this side. And these are pieces of the collection. And for this, I am using the Say Cheese Christmas from Simple Stories, which, of course, it's a design team project. Of course, this is a Disney-themed collection, but with this, you would never know from any of these cards that this is a Disney-themed paper. It just does that way. So what I'm going to do with this one, and this is actually going to be the only one we end up doing this on, I am actually going to use a little foam dot on this one, just because the way this one, it's no matter. Okay, so we've got our pieces down here. I'm going to move this. Now we're going to fold it back the other way. We're going to fold both of these tabs over. We're going to fold this tab over. Make sure this one's good and creased. Okay, what we're going to do, and before I put the glue on there, I'm sorry, gotta get, yeah, no, that's right. Glue on these two tabs. Sorry. Fold that down, put glue on this tab, and fold this down. Okay? So what you're going to have is your nice little flat card that then is going to pop open, that then opens up. Okay? I put glue on these two tabs first. Fold this piece over so that you're attaching those two tabs to the inside of this panel. We're going to glue this edge. Okay, so I had a loss of footage. I apologize. When you see this edited, there's going to be some funky stuff going on, as I'm doing the final assembly on this card. Basically what it is you're doing, if this were folded open, you're going to take those two small pieces, so these two center pieces, you're going to fold this so that they're face down. Put glue on those two tabs and fold this short piece over and glue it down. You're then going to put glue on the large tab, the back tab, and then fold this piece across and glue it down. And then you'll end up with your little card that sits up like this. Okay. I did go ahead and add our negative piece from our matting in the back there, and actually one of the little stickers from the event too. Added the sentiment on the front corner here. We could bling this up if we wanted to. It would be really cute. You could also mat these side panels and the back of the card if you wanted to. Okay, so there's that one. Let's move on to our next one. Okay, for our next card, and this is going to be the kind that kind of pops up. It's going to have, our tabs are going to be on the side, and it's going to kind of pop up when you open it. You need two pieces that are 6 1/4 by 5 1/2. With the 6 1/4 side at the top, you're going to score it 1/2 inch and at 1 inch, turn it completely, and then 1/2 inch and 1 inch again. You're going to do this on both pieces. Okay. For this one, we're going to cut our window. And again, because of the way we're going to layer these and mat these, the smaller window is going to be into the card base itself. So that's this die. For some reason, I do not have circle or oval nesting dies, and I could have sworn I bought some. If I did, I have no clue what I've done with them. I cannot find them anywhere to save my life. For our matte piece, we're going to cut our larger window into the mat. Okay. When we go to fold these, and normally I wouldn't fold this until actually after I have run this through the die cut, but I'm going to show you. So both pieces are going to get folded, so you've got this little kind of Z, and then they're just going to be attached tab to tab. So you've got like a little box that's going to be in here, and that's going to be the base of your card. So they'll fold in all the way like so to put this into just a normal size envelope. When someone takes it out, it's going to pop open, and you're going to have this cute little card that you can stand up. Okay, so I'm going to take these again, and I'm going to go die cut them, and then I will be right back. Okay, so for our next card, again, we have cut out the two different pieces here. I am going to go ahead and mat this down before I assemble the rest of the card. On this one I am going to use, instead of the stripes, because we use that on the other card, we are going to use the little candies on this side, because we're going to do somewhat the same thing in that we're going to use this, either this negative piece in, oh, excuse me, I have hiccups all of a sudden. Either inside like so, or we could actually put something on the back, which really that little negative piece from the other one we could put on the back for somewhere to stamp, you know, a sentiment, or, you know, sign the card, or whatever you wanted to do. So first things first, we're going to glue down our matting here. Glue going everywhere. Oh, for crying out loud. This is not cooperating with me today. So we're going to just kind of clean that up just a tiny bit. We're going to try this one more time. There we go, that's a little bit better. All right, there we go. So we've got that matted. We have gone ahead and we're gonna bend these pieces and get them, enforce those score lines. Turn it over this way and get that back. And again. Okay, so there's our front. And do the same thing with our back. Okay, so this is going to glue together just like so. When it goes in the envelope, it's going to fold flat like this. When you pull it out, it's going to kind of pop out. Okay, so I am going to actually lay these a little bit flat for just a second so that I can kind of center up where I want that little piece to go behind here, which you want the stripe side up, or do you want, I think we want the candy side up. Okay, I'm just going to center this up on here like so. And then we just need to go through and figure out what we're going to use to decorate this one. And I'll be right back once I have those pieces figured out. Okay, so for this next one, this is the one we folded down our tabs, front and back. When it's glued together, those tabs are going to glue and it's going to fold down flat like so. When you pull it out of the envelope, because these are going to be glued together, it's going to pop up kind of like this and it will stand up, which is awesome. So what I've done here is, once again, I've just taken that negative from the matting on the front. I've put that on the back. I've added this little sticker from the sticker sheet along with the little Santa hat. I've got this little joy sentiment that's from the ephemera pack that we're going to put down here on the front when we get this all put together. So I'm going to set this aside for right now. And then what I'm going to do, and this is kind of a neat trick, and this particular card I did get from a tutorial from Jennifer McGuire earlier this year. I think it was earlier this year, in conjunction with like a Hero Arts monthly kit that I'd gotten. So what she had done is she had taken just some acetate, and I realize it's very hard to see this, so I'm going to put this little tissue paper that comes with it back on the back here, and this is fairly stiff acetate. So I've just got a little strip of it here, and all I'm going to do is I've got just a little tiny piece of score tape on here. And I'm going to take one of my little candies and just stick it to that acetate. And what we're going to do is kind of figure out where in here we want these to go. And we're going to glue them. I'm sorry, not glue them. We're going to put them down with score tape on the sides here. Okay, so that when this is open, they're kind of floating out here in the middle between the front of our card and the little girl in the back. Okay, so I think, oops, put that one there. Put him about there. closer to the bottom over here. Okay, so I'm gonna just pull this backing off of here. See how far out I want that. It's going to be about right there. And it's not going to matter that the score tape's a little bit long, because we're going to glue these sides together and then we're going to actually trim the acetate after the fact. Put that one out just a little bit further. And then this one's just going to be on this other side. And you absolutely don't have to do this. You could, you know, tuck things underneath the edge of this matting if you wanted to. That would be cute. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and trim those even with the edge of my cardstock. And just put a little bit of glue on these tabs. My glue is dried up, or dried on me again, the tip has. I was trying to fix my recording issue. Thought for sure I'd lost like everything I'd recorded up to this point. I was ready to just cry, but that's okay. I only lost about 1.5 minutes of the assembly on the first card, and that's okay. I was able to work around it. So we're just going to line this up over here. And again on the other side. Top and bottom. Give that a minute to dry, and while that's drying for just a second, we're going to place our sentiment. We can do it off to the side here, I think, instead of, we could do it at the top. Let's see here. Kind of like it at the top, actually. Or down in this corner. No, I think I'm going to do it right there at the top. I think that looks kind of cool. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of that. And we're just going to put this up here. And there's our card. So this all folds into the middle, in theory. Something's not happy here. I think it's just a score line that I need to go back over. But this will fold flat once I fix my score line, because I'm not sure what is going on here. One of my score lines is kind of off, but this will fold flat. Let's turn it the right way, that'd help. And slide into an envelope, and when you open it up, it sits up just like that. All right, let's move on to our next card. All right, so our third card, and this one's really fun. So this one is a little bit different. So we've got one piece that's going to be 5.5 by 8. You're going to score this at 4 1/4. Our other piece is going to be 5.5 by 8.5. You're going to score it at 1/2 inch, 4 1/4, and 4 3/4. Okay. So when this one goes together, this is the piece that we're actually going to cut into. And this one, I've got a mat for this back panel, and I will cut mats for the other two for the back panels. I just haven't cut them yet. And then we're going to mat again where our opening is with one of the pattern papers. So again, our larger opening, and this is just barely going to fit on here, is going to be on our patterned. Our smaller opening, so that we get kind of that layered effect and we're reinforcing this, is going to be into this base piece, into the 8.5 inch wide piece. We're going to do that between the 1/2 inch and the 4 1/4 inch score lines. So I'm going to go die cut these, and I'll be right back. Okay, so our last card, I do need to Erase on here. Oh, the fun of using a cream cardstock and having the right sizes on it. Okay, so this is our base. I'm going to go ahead and fold that so it's ready to go. For our front piece, I've got our back mat and I've also got our front mat. We are going to go ahead and glue this one down just so that it's on here. We're not trying to do that once the card is assembled, just because it is a little bit more difficult. It's kind of the same, you know, idea when you're doing mini albums as far as, you know, mat stuff. While it's more flat and it makes it a lot easier to mat. So, and of course we're gonna have glue issues again because my name is Jennifer and I always have glue issues. So there we go. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna fold this over. Backside here, burnish that down. Okay. Now this side is going to go in here like so. Burnish over here. And then we're going to burnish one more time. Our other crease didn't set. And what's going to happen, make sure this is turned right. Sorry, I'm drawing a blank on which way this needs to actually go. Okay, I do need the short one to this side. Okay, so I'm actually going to take this piece, or this piece. Which piece is it? Hold on. This piece. And I'm going to cut just a tiny, tiny sliver off the end, just to ensure that this is going to fold the way we want it to fold. Okay, so I'm just cutting off maybe a 1/16 of an inch, probably not even that much. So I've glued my mat onto the front of, well, not the front, the inside front of this card. As you can see, we had a little mishap. I actually put it on here backwards, so we're going to try this again. With your 8 by 5.5 inch piece, we're going to line this up with the long side to the left. We're going to trim some of my mess off of here where I screwed this up. Okay. Okay, we're going to line this up against that fold line. Push it right up to the fold. Then we're going to glue this down. Make sure you're lined up top to bottom. Get it into that crease. Push it down. Okay. And we're going to fold it over. I'm going to push this piece down so this is flat, goes all the way across to there. And then we're going to glue this piece here. It's going to allow the card to lay flat, but when you open it up, it's going to open up that little shadow box. Okay? Make sense? It's been a while. I've made a couple of these, but it's been, I don't know, since sometime last spring since I made one of these, probably. Or no, probably even longer than that. It's probably been at least a year since I made this kind. I think I did them for birthday cards. Okay, so there you have it. When you open it up, there's your little shadow box, but it folds flat so that you can mail it. Okay, I'm going to get some tape on there. I'm going to slide that piece down in there. I'm going to decide what all we're going to put in here to decorate this, figure out what we're going to do for the front of this card, and I'll be back. Alright, so this last one is the one that has the shadow box inside. All I'm doing for the front is I've just got a little piece to mat this, and then this is one of the 4x4 cut aparts from the collection that I've just trimmed or punched the corners with my scallop corner punch that I've had for a zillion years. We're just going to line this up on here. And then this one, we really could pop this up, which I think I'm going to do if I can find my foam tape. That's just about gone, but that's okay. Okay, so we're going to put that on here. And I've actually got some little bling. Not sure if I'm going to use those or if I'm going to use these. I think I'm going to use these. These are, I don't even know. Let's put it this way. They came from archivers. So how old does that tell you they are? And I've kind of hoarded these. I think they came with a stamp set with like some really cute little penguins that I just absolutely adored at the time. And I've just kept them and held on to them because they were just probably some of my favorite little embellishments I think I ever bought, were these kind of cool little kind of silvery clear domes, I guess. Just one of my favorites. Let's get one or two more on here. Let's do one more tiny one. Oh, let's put him on there. There we go. All right. So on the inside here, get all these out. What we're going to do is we're going to put, did I not leave my, I must have scooped up my, oh no, I was going to use the sticker. Never mind. I was thinking I lost my sentiment there. So I'm going to glue him down inside. And we're just going to position him so he's kind of off to the side there of our little frame. And we're going to give him a red snowflake about there. And a green snowflake about there. And then this pink snowflake we're actually going to glue on the outside of our frame. Okay. Now, I don't remember which one I was going to do. That's a very good question. I don't know. I think I was just doing that little 'tis the season to be jolly. We're just going to put that down right there. And there you go. You could go ahead and mat this. You could leave this as is and stamp a sentiment in here instead of using this if you wanted to. Write a little message, but folds flat to go into an envelope and opens up into this cute little shadow box. All right, so that is all of our cards. And I hope you enjoyed this. If you end up making some of these, I'd love to see them. They're really fun to do, and I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks.